coming out of survival mode feels like being held underwater your whole life and coming up for air, and everything is freaking beautiful. I was laying out in the yard before we had our call, and I was just staring up at the sky, and I'm like, I don't remember the sky being this blue, man. And that's because I'm not fighting for my life as much anymore.
Hey everybody, this is Will Gordon from the Willpower Podcast, briefly coming on before this next excellent episode to remind you all that did you know that 76%, you heard that right, 76% of you that follow my content regularly have not subscribed to my channel yet, and I'm really wondering why that is. So if you could, the easiest and freest way to help support my show is to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Like it, share it, send it to people that you think it might help. Because that's what I'm doing here. I've been through it. I lost my liver. I lost my kidney. I had such a severe alcohol addiction that I feel you, okay? I understand what you're going through. And I'm really hoping that these stories are helping. So if you want to hear these stories keep coming, then please hit that subscribe button. It'll be the best decision that you'll ever make. Thank you so much for supporting me, and I really hope you enjoyed this next episode. I heard it was a pretty good one. Take care, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Willpower Podcast. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to announce that I have a very special guest on the show. His name is Mitch Webb. Let me give you a brief bio on him. So today we have Mitch Webb. At 25, he was crushing sales, 6 figures, company car, expense accounts. He looked untouchable. But a head injury abroad in college broke something inside him. Panic attacks that wouldn't stop. Insomnia that lasted years, and drinks every night just to feel normal again. Then Lyme disease, toxic mold, 50 extra pounds, diabetes, and one drive home where he literally forgot his own hometown. Mitch quit the bottle, learned to speak his body's language, and help others out of the same pit of despair. This one's going to hit hard, guys. Let's get into it. So, Mitch, thank you so much for coming on the Willpower Podcast with Will Gordon. Guys, if you can, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and like. And let's get into it. So, Mitch, the second the plane touched down after the traumatic brain injury abroad, what was the very first drink that actually shut that panic button? I heard you say that before. Shut that panic button off.
Yeah, that's ground zero, man. It was World Cup. I was studying abroad. I was in Germany. I believe Germany was going for third in that World Cup. Everybody partying, having a good time, and so was I. And so much so that I fell out of a second-story window and hit my head.
Really?
But yeah. I mean, and that was the beginning of all the stuff. Before that, started working in my family business in corporate sales. I was a print salesman, and I was kind of like the office party guy. I was young, and so accounts or clients would come in, and my job was to take them out and show them a good time, and then make sure they got to all the appointments they needed to be while they were in town. But I didn't know anything about printing. I really knew how to connect with people and how to have a good time. And at that time, it meant lots of drinking and partying. And
yeah, so you were a big drinker. Even when did you start drinking?
Oh gosh, I probably started drinking when I was like 15 or 16 in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it pretty under control for most of that time, or how did it go?
It was always to excess. And then going into college, I was in a fraternity. I was the social chair of my fraternity, and you're supposed to have that role for like one semester because it's just so social. And I was really good at it. They let me do it for 4 years. And so, yeah, I was throwing the parties. I mean, dude, I would be out every single night until I got sick like once a week or once a year for a week. And then I would slow down and then go back out. And so I was just had this feeling of like, I'm going to miss out if I'm not the last one at the party and I'm not going the hardest. Looking back, if I could like give myself a little bit of advice, if I had a child, I don't have kids, but if I did, I'd be like, hey man, whatever somebody gives you, take half.
Yeah. And you're the guy that just couldn't shut it off. I was that guy too. Once I started, I just couldn't shut it off. So you talk a lot about trauma, and you talk a lot about how to overcome trauma. So I'm just curious, when did that enter your life when you realized that was something that you had to, first of all, notice that you had the trauma, and then second of all, start working on yourself?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I think I had many people along the journey, like my functional medicine doctor comes to mind. This is probably 6, 7 years ago, and she said something like, "Hey, we need to have a conversation about your childhood trauma," and I was offended, and I was like, "What do you, my childhood was great. What are you talking about?" And fast forward a couple years later, I had been through so much, and we started a men's group here in Raleigh, North Carolina called Men on a Journey. It's free for anybody that's in the area that's listening. You definitely reach out. Reading the body keeps the score. It was me and two other guys started the group, and I remember thinking, I'm going to help these poor bastards who have mental health by correcting their nutritional deficiencies. So I thought the only way you have mental health is, number one, you're a war veteran, or number two, you're eating like shit, and you're not moving, you're being a desk worker or whatever that may be. And I was going to swoop in and help these guys. And the opposite happened. So I was sharing about the book and what I was learning. And there's a question about my family, and particularly my dad. We don't have the best relationship. And that was evident in my response. And I responded very like toxic masculinity, like I'm going to kick his butt or something like that. I thought I was being cool. And luckily, one of the guys pulled me aside afterwards, like, "Hey, you're reading that book? Body keeps the score." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's you, man. The way you answered that question lets us know that you've got trauma. And if you want to get some help, I got somebody that can help you out." And I was like, surprised, but I'm always curious, and have been going down the rabbit hole of health and trying to um, find peace and calm to be able to sleep again. And the trauma stuff changed my life because when we're sick, everybody has a solution, and we're constantly reaching for the external. And what we learned through the trauma world, or the trauma lens, is to really listen and reconnect with our body, to listen to its wisdom, to its intuition. And we become the medicine when we stop listening to others. Maybe guidance is fine for sure, but really, like, making decisions comes from our intuition. And so that was changed everything for me, is diving into the trauma.
The intuition part, when you say our intuition helps us guide us, what do you mean by that?
Oh yeah. I mean, if we're constantly, when we have trauma, we disconnect from our body. So we're not getting the signals from our body to that this is safe. That would be neuroception, is safety. So we move towards something that's safe or move away. So when we're disconnected from our body, we don't have that GPS system in the body that's letting us know, like, this person's safe or this person isn't. And that's how we end up in relationships with unhappy, healthy people, or repeating patterns. And where I started is learning to follow your impulse. I'd even back up before that and say, we got to build capacity. The reason we disconnect is because what is below our neck, we tend to live in our heads. And what's below our neck is so intense, or we've been avoiding it. It's not in our conscious awareness. And so we literally have to build the capacity by titrating, meaning doing little bits at a time, to be with the uncomfortable stuff that we've been avoiding. Now, once we're able to sit with that a little bit more, then we start to go, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? I've got this awareness. I'm feeling these things in my body that I haven't felt in a long time. What's it telling me? Right? What does my body want me to do? Because symptoms are literally just the way that the body gets our attention, and the body's never sick. It's just responding to conflicts, and it's responding to when conflicts resolve. So that's what symptoms are. It's not that something's bad or broken, but society teaches us to put a Band-Aid on it. And so a big part of this work is learning to be with the sensations without fixing, without changing, and without having them be something different than what they are. A lot of that conditioning comes from messaging that we got from our parents, or our coaches, our teachers growing up. So often people with trauma, with chronic stress, it's a form of trauma that we're going to see, like, in the 9 to 5 workspace. They're putting their nose down, and they're working really hard, and they might forget to go to the bathroom, might forget to eat lunch, might be running on coffee all day and wonder why they're staring at the ceiling when they go to sleep. And it's these little signals that our body is sending to us that we're missing because we're disconnected. And so this is the process of rebuilding that connection and learning to listen to our body. So ultimately, we become our own medicine. Like we, um, instead of relying on everybody else, it takes a lot of energy to do that. When we can just get the information from our body and make the decision, like, no, tonight's not a good night to go out. I need to rest without feeling guilty about that. You've got a supercomputer here that's giving you information. We just don't know how to listen to it.
Yeah. Without, and if you don't need to share this if you don't want to, but I'm just curious about your own story in your own aha moment or profound moment of clarity when you realized you were kind of breaking through your trauma. How did that go for you and what did that look like?
Oh man, there's so many. I could probably give you a couple. The first one that I think of is, I came into this work like most people come into this work with either two ways or a mix of the two, which is I feel so much, I don't know what it means. My hair is on fire. I don't know how to put it out. Or I don't feel anything. I'm completely numb and shut down and fatigued. I have chronic fatigue and I want to get better. And then it could also be a mix of those two. And we could talk more about what those states mean. But for me in the beginning, I had somebody just really slow things down and get me to sit with the intensity, which it felt like getting my skin peeled off, or sitting in fire and learning that it's not going to burn me because I've been running away from it my whole life. I've been treating it and fixing it and doing whatever I can to make it go away. And so I wasn't running anymore. And I was sitting in that fire and learning that, oh, this is what anger feels like. This is what sadness feels like. And learning to trust that, to stay with it, meaning everything kind of is in life is a wave. So an activation or anxiety comes in, it's going to hit a peak and then it's going to come down. But so much of us, we stop it before it hits that peak. Interrupt it by overthinking. We interrupt it by trying to fix it. We interrupt it by going into bewilderment and trying to figure it out. Makes perfect sense. But it takes us out of the experience. That's how our mind interrupts, right? And so if we go with the mind and out of the experience, then that wave just goes right back into the system. And so eventually learning to trust the wave, to stay with that and to ride it out and see that these emotions and these symptoms, these sensations in my body that I was terrified of and running away from my whole life, man, when I just sit with it and I allow it to go to completion, instead of letting it go and instead of suppressing it and letting it go back into my body, man, when I come out the other side of that, it feels so good. And so going from learning how to interpret what's going on in my body, because it was so much, to being able to get that out of my body and see how amazing that is and that it only takes a minute or two. And you're telling me I was resisting that my whole life and it gave me chronic disease and chronic symptoms. I mean, that was like, it felt like a magic trick. I was so used to, the hard stuff, man. Whenever somebody was like, hey, let's sit down and be quiet and go really slow and talk about your emotions, I was like, get out of here, dude. Give me a Xanax. You know what I mean? Like, give me a Xanax and like a joint and a shot of whiskey. I know that works.
Yeah.
And then coming out the other side of this, I'm still in it, not out the other side. I'm still doing it. It just feels like a magic trick. It feels absolutely incredible.
Yeah. That's really neat, man. Like, I feel like there's so much to life and there's so much of like just us being on autopilot that we're never truly being in tune with like our mind and our body. Like the connection is always kind of like split. So when you're dealing with stuff like trauma, when you're dealing with stuff that is difficult to sit in, I'm a big proponent of meditation. I think that's an excellent form of wing to clear the cobwebs out of your brain and kind of focusing just on your breathing and I find that very beneficial. But when you're talking about this somatic rebirth, I guess you would call it, that's a really interesting, like kind of pivot, because I had this question written down for you that I really was interested in your answering. So you've talked about mixing booze with pills to function. So what was that one blackout that you still wake up thinking about?
Oh man, the one, God, in college, they called me Pee McGee because I got put on Klonopins to help me sleep, and no shade on pharmaceuticals. They definitely helped when I needed them, but I didn't know that they would make you black out, and so I would basically I was Pee McGee and blackout Mitch, so I would black out, not knowing that combining those two things would do that, and then I would pissing my pants if I got super drunk. And those are some of the most embarrassing mornings that I could imagine. And as I'm telling the story, I'm just like can feel it in my body. Talking about
Mhm.
somatics, it feels like a constriction. I can feel it in my chest. I mean, it's like it's so interesting. This thing that is so and being alcohol that's so approved and readily available that can cause so much damage and really just takes us away from ourselves. It's just the more I've gotten into this work, it just seems like such a an unhealthy thing, and it's poisoning our body. And I don't understand why it's so normalized. It's
Yeah.
where we go into this work, the more we feel, and the more it feels like sabotaging and abandoning our body, especially when it's done in excess and unhealthy ways to cope.
When did your drinking get out of control?
I think the head injury saved that because that was kind of where I was peaking with it. I was like, just my tolerance was going way up. I was doing it all the time. Um, and when I hit my head, I didn't stop after that, but it certainly slowed me down a little bit. I don't know that I ever had a problem with it. And also, I had such bad hangovers that I would avoid those. So I
Mhm.
always said, there's definitely alcoholism in my family. And I was talking with one of my aunts who's a recovering alcoholic a couple months ago and just talking about the whole family trauma thing. And, she was sharing what she had been through. And I was just telling her, I'm kind of lucky because I hated hangovers so bad, and I had some accidents we talked about this as well, like right before we hopped on, is the Lyme disease. There was a
Mhm.
medication that I had to take that is also given to alcoholics, and it was supposed to help the mold. I can't remember if it was for the mold or heavy metal. I mean, or Lyme. But I couldn't drink. And what was interesting is I would go on bachelor's trips and weddings and all that stuff. And I saw that my friends, were drinking the whole time, but none of them were going to excess. It didn't seem like they were taking it as far as I was. And that was a really interesting period and kind of learning to be okay, not having a drink in my hand. And
Mm.
I'd say that's evolved over the years, getting more and more comfortable with it, getting more and more comfortable in social situations. It kind of feels like Ron Jeremy, or no, not Ron Jeremy.
And like Ron Jeremy said what?
One, now I'm thinking of what's the guy from Old School?
Jeremy
Talladega
Piven?
Nights. Will Ferrell, Talladega Nights, where he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And that's what it feels like
Yeah.
at a party when you've been the wild man and handing out drinks your whole life. And now what the hell do I do with these?
I know. That's like still me, even when I socialize, but now I just grab like something like I don't know. There's so many non-alcoholic versions of everything now that it's like never been easier or better to be to be a sober person.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed in that regard.
What
The
is some of
Lyme
your
disease
favorite? You got any you can
of what?
share? And
Of
like
what?
NA stuff that you like.
Well, I love the Guinness 0.0. So if it says 0.0 on it, I love it. So like Guinness, it tastes identical to normal Guinness, so I love that. And then
Mhm.
the Heineken 0.0 is also really good. It tastes exactly like Heineken.
Yeah, I like
And I
the
know that
Heineken.
there's an argument with people who are like, well, non-alcoholic beer is for non-alcoholics. That's always a stupid thing that people say. But for me, it's more of like it's like a buffer. It's like a thing that just feels like I'm a part of the social gathering, but it's not like, it's something that I just feel like it helps. It just helps. It helps me just you know, stay the course. So I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
that's awesome. I don't know if you've experienced this too, but I like the Heineken Zeros too, and also the Athletic Brewing, I believe it was.
Yeah,
I've had.
athletics big.
But
Hmm.
the funny thing
Yeah,
for
the
me is
golden
I
one's
get
my
like
favorite.
I get the placebo effect from it, and I can get a buzz with drinking
Yeah.
something that's zero
Yeah,
point zero.
if I'm like outside drinking those things, those not that that's my intention is to get the buzz or whatever, or fake it, or make it like a thing that I'm trying to chase. It's not like that. It's more like a contact high, right? It's like the
Yeah,
environment you're around, the stimulation
yeah,
of it. People are like chatting. It just feels good. It feels like it's like you're just in control because you're like, oh, I'm in control of this. I got it. in the comfortable position, kind of like, locked into how I used to drink. So it's good. It's fine. So much. Looking back, was alcohol like a trauma partner, or was that something that you disagree with?
Was alcohol a trauma partner? Like, was it like
Hmm.
helping me feel better? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like was it like someone what so like I use the word trauma partner because I think of like did it bring trauma into your life? This is kind of what I'm getting at.
I mean, everything bad happens on alcohol after like 10 o'clock or something like that, right? I mean, I don't think I'd have two DWIs and all these scars on my face from like accidents and falling out of windows if I wasn't drinking, you know? So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and there's also, speaking of trauma and it, too, some things started happening as well that this flashed in my mind whenever you asked it. So I guess I'm going to share it. And I remember like being at a concert on psychedelics and, the psychedelics being getting to a place where it was uncomfortable and then noticing myself like pouring like a big drink, to calm down and then catching myself in that moment realizing I'm trying to feel better by taking this thing that it's already like midnight. Like what am I doing? And it just felt so gross, and
Hmm.
that's a big thing for me is like not trying to control how I feel or use it to feel better. And when I could see that, in that experience, it was just like kind of seeing how gross that was for me in that.
Yeah. You said you generally didn't think you'd see 30. Why
Oh,
did you say that?
I was so sick, man. With the heavy metal, like it's heavy metals, Lyme, mold. Man, I was not sleeping at all. I would hallucinate that I was not sleeping so much. I would get, a lot of brain fog from the Lyme and the mold, and I would get lost driving to work in the morning in my hometown. And for someone that had never had any kind of health issues, and all of a sudden I've just got like hit the lottery of chronic symptoms. It was
Mhm.
overwhelming. I mean, and
I
I
bet.
didn't know what to do, and nobody in my family really knew about health and wellness. And I got really lucky and went to a functional medicine doctor. I thought I had a drug problem because I was asking everybody. I was taking Klonopin and I was asking people for Xanax and using both. It got to the point where both didn't work anymore, and that's what brought me into the doctor. And I'm like, man, I got a drug problem. Help me get off of this shit. Luckily, they were like, yeah, we don't think you have a drug problem. We think, there's a lot of that's where they found the mold and the heavy metals, and they found the Lyme, found metabolic issues, and slowly, and the way it was for me too is that like basically I started cleaning up my lifestyle, started eating better, exercising, and I was an athlete my whole life, but it was just a getting back into it after college. Slowly but surely, it just felt more and more stupid. Having hangovers till like Monday or Tuesday, being healthy for 3 or 4 days, and then going back into that pattern over the weekend. I just
Yeah.
did that enough to where it became less of a priority and it felt better. I mean, God, I remember finding out how awesome Saturday mornings were, and getting a workout in, going to the farmer's market, hanging out with some friends and not being hungover. I was like, wow, I think I can do this.
Yeah. I love that was like such a revelation to me when I realized that Saturday mornings rocked now. Like Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, they were just awesome now. Once I
Oh yeah.
removed alcohol from my life, I was getting up, going to the gym, getting a walk in, walking the dog, getting breakfast, just enjoying the weekend how it was supposed to be
Yeah.
intended to be.
Imagine that,
Not not nursing a 2-day hangover and then all of a sudden it's work time again. Like, oh my God, living for the weekend. Why was I doing that? So
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned Lyme.
For feeling like crap. I mean, that's what I felt. You're getting so excited to just feel like shit all day. And it's like, seeing it happen too. I feel good for a couple of hours and I'm gonna feel so bad tomorrow. I'm gonna get up by 5 p.m. the next day and do it all over again. Like,
Crazy, man. It's like
yeah.
we're being lunatics. I noticed like so when you started experimenting with all these kind of like Eastern flavor mm, holistic medicines, what what was the reasoning behind being so reluctant to kind of Western medicine? Just curious.
I felt like the Western medical model had failed me. I
Okay.
never got any help from they put me on pills and the clonopin, and there was no additional
Mhm.
help. It was just give me more pharmaceuticals, and that was
Right.
pretty much all I had. They didn't find the mold. They didn't find the heavy metals. They didn't find the Lyme. They're saying all my labs are perfect, and my labs were good. But when you have a good functional medicine practitioner, you're going to be like, hey, this isn't optimal. This is telling me this and that. It was just clueless. My testosterone was like 300. Never talked about that. It was just like, let's give you some more drugs. That was pretty
Yeah.
much it. It is pretty sad not knowing anything about nutrition, not knowing anything about exercise or circadian biology, detox. Like it's so removed from nature too. It just feels fake. I
Uh,
will also say that when I was in a car accident, it saved my life. So I think that is where Western medical can shine. It can save you in an acute situation, but for everything else, it's trash, in my opinion.
hmm. Yeah. Well, I had someone on the show that he didn't even need to get a liver transplant. He was told he needed one and used very similar practices like what you've explained and kind of beat it just by like B12 shots and changing what he ate and drank and took care of himself, and he really went after it in a really holistic way, which is it really interesting to think about when you think about like all the big diseases and the things that we encounter on a daily basis with just like the minor common colds. I feel like it's such a impulse to immediately go right towards whatever the pharmaceutical exploration might be for figuring out like what's wrong with me. But I feel like there's a lot of eye-opening experiences that can happen with kind of the holistic way of approaching any kind of disease, right?
But yeah, man, I mean, our our medical model is traumatic. It is the avoidance
Mm,
of what's there, and it's treating symptoms. So we're in survival mode. We all are. We're disconnected from our body. When we have a symptom of our body is screaming at us now, we've missed all the other signals, and it's screaming us at a signal, and it's saying, "Hey, be with me. Don't leave me. Sit here with me. Have my back. Let me belong. Let me be here. Let me be allowed. Love me." And you're saying, "Shut the fuck up. Here's a supplement. Go back to sleep." And so
mm,
that's what we learned to do. Put the band-aid on it, treat it, fix it, figure it out and fix it. That is what creates chronic disease. That is what keeps us stuck. And so we are getting a layup from our body saying, please help me. This is your next step. This is what is going to heal you. This symptom is that. And so we have to learn to trust that our body isn't isn't trying to fight us. It's here to help. And these symptoms are its way of getting our attention. And it's like a little child, and that little child is us banging at the door. It's freezing and raining outside. And we keep saying nope and slamming the door. So yeah, you're gonna get sick if you keep doing that.
yeah.
And the pharmaceutical industry keeps us from asking the deeper questions and actually healing and doing what is human, which is trauma release. We've been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years. And then now we think that some petroleum based symptom management pill that's disconnecting us further from our body and creating more symptoms is the solution. It's ass backwards.
Yeah, it is ass backwards. Could you like give any everyone watching one 60-second practice that they can do tonight when it comes to like anxiety, or maybe they have cravings when they want to drink or something? Because I know a lot of the audience listening, watching are struggling with alcohol use disorder. Is there anything you could share with us or impart some wisdom when it comes to doing something like this?
Yeah, man. The thing that comes to mind is when we notice ourselves reaching for something outside of us, that is when our younger self is at the door, in the rain, in the cold, asking for help. And so what's going on there is our body's asking for connection
Hmm.
and safety and support and love. And so we're looking for something outside of us. And so this is it takes time, but we slow down. We bring ourselves into the moment. A lot of times when that trigger happens and we're reaching for something outside of us, it's because we're reminded of something in the past and we're trying to prevent or control. something from happening again in the future because it feels scary. It makes perfect sense. And so I would say come back to here and now, connect with your body, even if it's like, hey, I see you, I feel you. What is it that you're trying to soothe? Is it pain? Is it sadness? Is it anger? Where do you feel that in your body? Right? Is it in my chest? Is my heart beating really fast? Can I just sit here with it for a breath? You know, and what changes? To bring us into the moment, we'll use orienting. And so I would, understand what's going on in my body, and then I feel my butt in my chair. If we're both sitting here looking at a screen, can I feel my butt in my chair, my hand on my chest? Can I pull my eyes away from the screen, and can I find 3 colors in the room that stand out to me? So I'm seeing a green, I'm seeing a brown.
I'm doing it with you here. Red, brown, and light blue.
And can you continue to feel what's supporting you? That butt in the chair, feet on the ground, back up against the rest. And if you really slow it down, what's going on with your breath? And I'll ask people, typically they've got their hand on the stomach or the chest. We're not trying to change it. Like, just where do you feel your breath? Just a question. Do you feel it?
Yeah, man. Breath work for me is so tricky.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's like it's stuck. Like I've had crazy anxiety today, so it's just kind of bubbling up. So it's like stuck right under my left pectoral here.
You want to work with it?
Sure.
Yeah? You feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it on the air.
All right. So it's on what side?
The left's like right here, like right under my left pectoral.
Okay. So let's just say hey to it and say, hey, I can see you and I'm here.
Hey, I can see you and I'm here.
I'm not going.
We're not going anywhere.
Yep. And there's no reason for you to change. I'm just here with you. And I know you got this.
There's no reason for us to change. I'm with you and I got.
And then let's just kind of move closer into that. And you got your hand on your chest. Can you feel your breath just kind of coming in and out? Like, let your hand just ride that wave.
It's funny. It's like having my hand physically on my chest actually helps.
Yeah. So
The
now let's
process of
welcome that
breathing.
ease that's coming in. Just say hello to that and let that be here. So all we're doing is just accepting and allowing the symptom that is here, because that's what's here.
Yeah.
We're not trying to change it or make it go away. We're just saying, hey, I see you and you can be here. You're part of me.
I feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine that, dude. We connect with our body and we say, hey, I don't got to change you. I don't got to fix you. You're just allowed to be here. Amazing.
Yeah. You just give it permission to exist without letting it interrupt your life.
Yeah, and these symptoms are kind of going on in the background, and that's the move. So often, you said it perfectly. We just want to make it go away. We want to fix it. We want to change it. We want to take a hit of something. We want to drink something. We want to take a supplement, do an exercise, eat a food, avoid a food, whatever it is to get away from this thing. But all it wants is us.
Yeah.
And so we
I
can just
wonder
say,
why.
yeah.
I wonder why we're so reluctant to. I mean, that took what 30 seconds, a minute tops. But if you were to go get a pill, if you were to go to the doctor, you're spending much more time to gather all those things, gather the materials, the medications, pharmaceuticals, everything. But all it takes is a 30 second to a minute to kind of alleviate that was an overwhelming feeling of anxiety is now dissipated into a wave, right? Getting back to the waves of emotions, how they just kind of dissipate back into the ocean, just like how that did. They just kind of like dissipated back into the abyss.
Well, the reason we
Hopefully it
don't
doesn't come
know is
back up.
because there's no owner's manual. There's no education around this stuff. We've got generations and generations of people that have been stuck in survival, and this generation is waking up, man.
Yeah.
And so we get taught to you take a pill and you make it go away. We get taught avoid your body at all costs. And now this information is being more readily available, and people are waking up. And it takes time, and this is what I'm talking about for someone who's been stuck in anxiety and not sleeping for 20 fucking years. Yeah, this feels like a magic trick. And it's kind of funny
feel
as
like a
you're
magic trick.
it's like the Xanax takes 30 minutes to kick in. This takes 30 seconds.
Right. It's faster. The onset is quicker.
I've never really thought about it like that, but
Free.
you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Lightning round two. So first of all, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Mitch. It's just been a fantastic conversation, and I'm learning a lot as we're talking. Fire round. What's the best sober morning you've had in the last year?
The best silver morning or silver lining?
What's the best sober morning you've had in the best year?
Well, every morning I wake up with gray hair, man. It feels like pretty silver.
That's sobering, right? That's humbling, sobering, whatever you want to call.
Coming out of survival mode, being in that your whole life and fighting through your life, feeling like I'm the manager and doer of my body. Like I've got to make my body feel good. And then waking up and just feeling good. Coming out of survival mode feels like being held underwater your whole life and coming up for air, and everything is freaking beautiful. I was laying out in the yard before we had our call, and I was just staring up at the sky, and I'm like, I don't remember the sky being this blue, man. And that's because I'm not fighting for my life as much anymore.
I know. Once you break through the trauma and you get out of the survivor mode, right? Because that's what I lived in especially when I was in the deepest, darkest hole of my alcohol addiction. I was in survival mode every single day of my life, every second of the day. I was in survival mode, so it was only a matter of time until the consequences to my drinking would catch up to me. And unfortunately, I wish I could have learned these coping strategies sooner. What's one book that every high achiever with trauma needs to read?
The book that helped me was Hope and Healing for Your Nerves, Complete Hope and Healing for Your Nerves, from Dr. Claire Weeks. She's from the 30s. And she just basically lays out all the signs and symptoms of this chronic stress and what that looks like. And it allows us to stare our symptoms in the face and not give in to what they're telling us to do, because it's always urgent, and it's always urgent to fix and figure out. And that's what keeps us in a loop. So we literally have to, it's a way to learn to trust our body through education.
Yeah, to trust our body. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
That's what we're always
last one. Yeah, that is true. We're always looking to trust our body. What's the best piece, before we close out, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received in your life?
I think authenticity comes to mind. And allowing ourselves, feeling safe enough to do that. When we perform, it takes us away from ourselves. It takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting. It takes us away from who we are. And so I would say, put down the performance, get in touch with who you are. This work is the great unwinding back to self. We get to meet the strategies that we've taken on to get people to love us, to be seen and heard and validated. Those are things like people pleasing and perfectionism, intellectualization. And most people, including myself, felt like that's who we are. We identify with that, but that's not. Those are just trauma responses that we've taken on to get love and attention. And learning what is performance and what is authenticity, and going with the authenticity, that's what this work is all about.
And that's what it's all about. If you can't be authentic every single day, then you're just setting yourself up to be miserable, because you're not being the truest version of yourself, and that can be a major detriment to your progress and happiness and peace in life. So Mitch, thank you so much, man, for coming on the Willpower Podcast. If people want to reach out to you, get your help for coaching, anything like that, what's the best place to locate you?
Yeah, Will, thanks for having me on, man. This is a lot of fun. Yeah, MitchWebb.com. There's a contact page there where you can reach out to the listeners. I'm doing free consultations. I'm not trying to put a hook in you. I'm always interested in the fit and whether we're a good fit for each other. And if we're not, I have a big network of people that I can send you to. And you can find me on Instagram, KMitchWebb, LinkedIn, Facebook, Mitch Webb, and I'm on TikTok, KMitchWebb as well. And just released a podcast called Rooted Conversations. And I will also, I'll shoot you a quiz, free nervous system quiz that I have for clients to see what's going on in their nervous system, and give lots of free resources on how to work with that. An exercise similar to what we did, and an opportunity for one-on-one work if that feels like a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's send it on over. We'll talk offline. But thank you, Mitch, for coming on the Willpower Podcast with Will Gordon. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, please, if you can. And be on the lookout, guys, for many, many more episodes coming soon. Take care, everybody.